Hi there, it's Dr. Tiffany, your resident homeschool champion, and I am bringing you Thoughts of a Homeschool Mom by way of a 5-part series that I'm talking with you about this week called Dispelling 5 Common Myths About Homeschooling. So if you've been catching my videos this week, you know that we're actually on myth number 4, and this week we've dispelled 3 other myths, the first one being that homeschooling is unpopular. We dispelled the myth that homeschooling is hard to begin. And then yesterday we dispelled the myth that homeschooling is the point of no return. So if you haven't caught those videos this week, take a look in the description of this video because I will have those links there so you can catch those other 3 videos. But we're going to go ahead and jump into myth number 4, which is that homeschooling has no rules. So one of the common misconceptions about homeschooling is that there are no rules to the process of homeschooling and that you kind of just do what you want to do, how you want to do it, and that's it. And so that can scare some people, and it also can cause some people to, gravitate towards it because they feel like they kind of have a free situation to work in. However, that cannot be further from the truth. Homeschooling does have rules. So although you are facilitating the education for your child in a home environment, you still have rules that you need to follow. So let's look at how that works. First of all, before you begin homeschooling your child, you need to know what your state requires as a part of what you're required to report about your child to the state, to your school district, and what information they need to know about your child. Many states have specific information that they ask you to provide on a quarterly or annual basis, and that's information that you need to provide in order to stay compliant. There are other states that don't require much information at all, and some that don't require you to submit anything unless you are then deciding to have your child matriculate into a traditional environment sometime later on. But you need to know what your state requires. So I always suggest that the first place to go is the HSLDA.org site, which stands for Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And this website and this organization are very good at giving detailed information state by state. It'll help give you a place to start so that you can find out what your state agencies are and find out what the basic requirements are for you to homeschool in your particular state. And then from there you can get information about whatever your local agencies are and get more detailed information. But I would start at the HSLDA.org site because that covers all the states, and it will let you know what are the basic requirements and where to go to get more detailed information. They also offer information on curriculum and some other detailed information to help you to know what to do if you have a legal situation where homeschooling is concerned. They have form letters to help you communicate with your school district, things like that. So it's a great resource. So I always tell people to start there first so that you know exactly what your state requires, and you know who to contact in your state for more detailed information. The other way that you have some rules, quote unquote, to look at with regard to homeschooling is that there are several different ways to homeschool. And I have some notes here on the side just so I can keep this information together, but there are several different ways that you can homeschool. I'm only going to go over 5 of them in this video for time's sake, so it's not to have a longer video before you, but there are several different ways, and these 5 that I'm going to go over with you plus several other ones you can find on a website called homeschool.com, and it's a great resource for that, so I'll also make sure that you have that resource as well for this video. But the 5 that I'm going to go over are some of the most common ways that individuals decide to homeschool their children. So the first one is called eclectic or relaxed, and that is where you are using a combination of different resources for your curriculum. You're not using one standard curriculum, but you're using several different pieces, maybe from different curriculums or from other resources that you found to cover the subjects that you need to cover for your child based upon your state requirements. So there's no set curriculum that you're using, but you're sort of putting the curriculum together as you go based upon what you feel is best to meet the needs and the requirements that are set before you for your state. With this particular setup with an eclectic or relaxed layout, you typically are doing most of your specific subject work in the morning, and then in the afternoon is where you have more free time for hobbies or for play or things like that. But you pretty much have it scheduled that during the morning hours is when you're working on your schoolwork and things that have to be completed within the subject matter, and then in the afternoon is where it's more free and more open. So the main reason why it's relaxed or eclectic is because you're pulling from different sources to create the curriculum for your child, and you are not using a preset curriculum. The next one is actually the complete opposite of the eclectic relaxed, and that's called the school at home. And that's where you are actually using a prepackaged curriculum. The school at home method just takes a curriculum that's already put together, and they work through that curriculum from start to finish, A to Z. Though that curriculum can have lesson plans included in it, or you can create your own lesson plans based upon the information that's included in the curriculum packet. But you are using only what's in that packet pretty much, and you're going through that from A to Z. So with that method, you do know exactly what you're covering on a daily, weekly, monthly basis because you're just following that plan. You can also have some customization there as well by creating your own lesson plans. The next one is called unschooling, and if you caught any of my previous videos, you would have heard me mention that method. And unschooling is really what's considered interest-led learning, and that's where you focus on the interest of your child, and then that is how you sort of lead the learning process. So you're not looking at a prepackaged curriculum. You're not even really looking at individual pieces until you know exactly what your child is interested in. And there are no formal lessons, no formal schedules, anything like that. It's sort of just, you're going with the flow, literally, of how your child is feeling. A lot of times, even with this method, your child doesn't really have a set time to wake up or get going or get started. It's sort of like your child wakes up when they're ready to wake up and when they're ready to do some things, and then you sort of flow that way. So it's a very easy, relaxed, even more relaxed than the eclectic relaxed method. This is very much being led by the desires or needs or interests of your child. And then the next one is more of one that's more focused not necessarily on a prepackaged curriculum, but on a true sort of mental concept of how to sort of take in information, and that's the classical method. And the basic concept of this method is that you are teaching an individual how to learn for themselves. So you are basically just presenting them with information and then teaching them then how to expand that. So you're not just giving them one thing and then saying this is how it is and this is all that it is, but you're giving them information and then teaching them how to expand and learn at a higher level for themselves. And this method focuses on what's known as the 5 R's, and that's reason, record, research, relate, and rhetoric. And through those 5 R's, basically you're taking your child through the process of giving them a specific concept or idea or focus, and then you're leading them through the process of expanding and learning on their own and gaining new knowledge on their own. And so this can be done basically in the form of presenting the concept, having them kind of take notes or information on the concept that's being presented, then doing some further research or work or delving further into the concept, and then figuring out how that concept sort of relates to them, to their lives today, relates to the current time frame, current period of time, and then a communication. So this method, the classical method, is really brought all together through communication. So that's where the rhetoric comes into play, where there's full communication about what was learned initially and then what was discovered on their own, and bringing all those pieces together. So that's the classical method. And then the last one is probably one of the most popular, and that's the Charlotte Mason. And this method really just focuses on the fact that your child is an individual that is deserving of respect and consideration. That's the basic concept of this. And so this method really allows your child to be a child. It focuses on learning specific concepts, but also allowing your child to have time for play and for creativity and just to explore. So you have, in this particular method, you could be using a prepackaged curriculum, but you're inserting in opportunities for them to, express themselves creatively, or to have downtime where it's just playtime and they're not constantly in learning in I guess what you would call conscious learning mode. But they're having an opportunity to just sort of be a child, to learn, but also be a child. And so the Charlotte Mason method, like I said, is one of the most popular because it sort of combines the opportunity for you to have a structured environment, but then still give your child the opportunity to have some relaxed time or some downtime or just time to be a child. This method also allows for children to be involved in daily life activities. So things like, cooking or laundry or household chores, things like that. So you're involving them in day-to-day activities, and not just, sort of pushing them aside when it's, and saying, oh, you're too young for this, but finding a way for your child at whatever age they are to participate in daily life activities as well. Also, the Charlotte Mason method includes, more field trips and activities, going to museums, and things like that. So you are putting in field trip opportunities. This one also includes a lot of, if you saw one of my posts that I put up about suggestions for how to expand your child's learning environment, the Charlotte Mason method includes one of the suggestions I gave, which was using your family trips or family vacations and turning them into educational opportunities or educational trips. So inserting some time for education to happen even in your recreational time as well. So that's the Charlotte Mason method. So as you can see, just in the 5 methods that I just laid out, there are some standards or some basis for each one of those to follow. So homeschooling is not a non-ruling environment. There are standards that you have to set, and there's a way that you will focus in on teaching your child. In my home, we are a mixture of the Eclectic, Relaxed, and Charlotte Mason method. So we mix those two together. I do not use a prepackaged curriculum at this time. I pretty much pull pieces together and create my own curriculum. But we also have the elements of involving our daughter in day-to-day activities. We give her, in her school day, she has time for play, she has time for crafts, and she also has time for structured learning as well. So we sort of mix that up and do that. And her Fridays are her quote-unquote off days. So that's where she's doing dance and gymnastics, and that's also where we would insert a field trip. Last month, one of her field trips was we went to the aquarium, the downtown aquarium. So we had so that was a part of her learning. So it was fun for her, but she was also learning at the same time. So that just kind of gives you an example of how we sort of mix those two together. But homeschooling is definitely an environment where there are rules and that you do need to follow. And so do not enter into this thinking that you're just kind of doing whatever you want to do, how you want to do it. Specifically, like I said at the beginning of the video, starting with your state and finding out what your state requires is key. You must know that first because you need to be in compliance. Being in compliance is key. If you're not in compliance, that's where you can tend to have some issues, and maybe have some legal issue later if you're not following what your state requires for you to do. So I hope that this dispels myth number 4, that homeschooling has no rules. I hope you see that it does have rules, but there are cool ways to apply them, and that there are a lot of different ways that you can teach your child in a homeschooling environment. So I hope that you will join me tomorrow as we close out this series, and as we look at our final myth. And that myth is that homeschooling on your own is best. So we're going to look at that one, and we're going to knock that one out the park too. So thank you so much for sticking with me this week through this series. I'm excited to close it out tomorrow. And also, I would like to ask you to stay connected with me. So you will see also a link for thoughtsofahomeschoolmom.com. If you go there, you can sign up for my list, and you can stay connected with me, and you can continue to get some great information, some great resources to help you along your homeschooling journey. So I hope you decide to stay connected with me and go there and sign up, and I hope you're enjoying these videos in this series this week. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.